Welcome to Sabastia, the city of August, home of the tomb of John the Baptist and one of Palestine's most hidden treasures. History and traditions are everywhere in Sabastia. The inhabitants of what is now a typical Palestinian village are the proud inheritors of a glorious past spanning 5 millennia of history. Several scientific expeditions uncovered the secrets of Sabastia. Their findings would change the village forever. In 1908, a team of archaeologists from Harvard University led the first excavations helped by the local community. The oldest remains they found date back to the Bronze Age. Archaeologists also uncovered remains of a royal palace. The stone masonry was typical from the Phoenician building techniques during the Iron Age. Among the remains of the palace, the Harvard expedition found an ivory collection, mixing Phoenician and Pharaonic styles, along with inscriptions on pottery fragments, referring to goods such as wine and oil probably sent to the city as taxes. All these elements indicate that it was an important seat of power at that time. During the 8th century BC, Sabastia was captured by the Assyrians. In 332 BC, the city was retaken by Alexander the Great, inaugurating Sabastia's Hellenistic period. During his reign, he built massive fortifications around the Acropolis. Few remains of this period can be seen today, except the circular defensive tower. The city really reached its greatest glory and prosperity under the Roman Empire, when Sabastia became Sabastia. In 30 BC, the Emperor Augustus awarded the city to Herod the Great, who named it Sebast, which means Augusta in Greek in honor of the emperor. Herod the Great carried out an ambitious building program. He built a 4-kilometer-long city wall, surrounded by towers. Only one gate was found on the southwestern part of the city. Close to the site of the former royal palace, he erected a temple dedicated to Augustus to show his loyalty to the emperor. The temple used to stand at the top of the stairs. This large plain used to be the heart of the Roman city, the forum where people used to gather and shop. It was surrounded by colonnades on all sides. At the end of the 2nd century, a basilica was added on the west end of the forum. The building served as a tribunal. The fact that those columns are still standing is quite exceptional. It is a demonstration of how advanced the Roman anti-seismic engineering was. The forum was connected to the main city gate through the Cardo, a colonnaded street. On each side of the road, there was a roofed walk for pedestrians and a row of shops behind. This must have been a colossal undertaking. It included at least 600 columns and was about 1 kilometer long. The Romans knew how to keep their population entertained, and Sabastia was no exception. Further down the hill stands the stadium. It was probably dedicated to racing. The Roman city also included a theater. Only the first 14 rows are visible today, but archaeologists think there were another 10 above, so that the theater could host up to 2,500 people. Numerous Hellenistic and Roman tombs were found in Sabastia. An impressive mausoleum was excavated in the present-day city center. Bodies were buried in coffins decorated with animal figures. The most intact one is now exhibited in the city's archaeological museum. During the Byzantine period, Sabastia became the see of a bishop linked to Saint John the Baptist, referred to as Sayyidina Yahya in Islamic texts. There is a strange story related to the death of the saint. According to the legend, John the Baptist was beheaded on Sabastia's hilltop. His head was taken elsewhere, but the body remained there, and the Byzantines built a monastery church. Sabastia is now a Muslim village, but there is still one Christian family living here, keeping the tradition alive. Another Byzantine church was built in the present-day village to house the tomb of John the Baptist, now located on the compound of the mosque. The crypt is located under these two dome buildings. The smaller one covers a flight of stairs leading to the tomb. The second one is a sanctuary covering it. The compound is a speaking example of how the sacred sites were built, destroyed, and rebuilt throughout the ages. The Byzantine church was damaged. When the Crusaders came, they built a cathedral on the remains. It was then destroyed and rehabilitated into a Mamluk, and later, an Ottoman mosque dedicated to the same saint, John the Baptist, or the Prophet Yahya in the Islamic tradition. The Ottomans were known for the development of the railway across the empire. The famous Hijaz Railway that used to connect Damascus to Medina had a stop in Sabastia. Located in the valley down the hill, the Masaudia was Sabastia's former station. With its narrow streets, stone houses, and domed roofs, the city center is a prime example of traditional Palestinian architecture from the late Ottoman period. Over the last years, tourism has been growing in Sabastia. Hiking trails have been marked in the surroundings, and Sabastia is a highlight of the Palestinian Heritage Trail, a long-distance cultural trail across West Bank. In the mid-90s, a vast renovation program started. Several old buildings were rehabilitated into guest houses. There are now 3 guest houses and several restaurants in the village, enabling visitors to experience the incredible local hospitality and have an unforgettable trip in this millinery town.